What is up, everybody? Thank you so much for joining me here today. So today we've got a pretty interesting brew for you here. And for some of you that follow the Magic Online scene, you look at some of the 5.0 lists, you go through the forums and things like that, you'll know that As Foretold was kind of one of those cards that was you either love it or you hate it. And we're going to be one of the people that say we love it. I mean, to be honest, I think it's honestly found this sort of middle ground where, it's not busted, but it doesn't suck. It's kind of just a good card. And so let me pull it up here for you guys. As Foretold reads, at the beginning of your upkeep, put a time counter on As Foretold. And then once each turn, you may pay 0 rather than pay the mana cost for a spell you cast with converted mana cost X or less, where X is the number of time counters on As Foretold. And it's important to note here, first of all, is one of the things it says is once each turn. So this means you can use it on your opponent's turn and your own turn. So you kind of really maximize the value of how many cards you can cast per turn cycle. Another thing that it reads here is you can cast with converted mana cost X or less. So it's for some of you that may say that it looks like Aether Vial, that's very true. It's a very similar card. But the fact that you can cast cards or spells with X or less means that once you get, you can just, grow the counters on it without having to worry if you're locking yourself out of certain plays. So that's what's really awesome about it. Of course, it's 3 mana versus 1 mana, so you can't have it all. But in general, just by looking at the card, it seems pretty solid. And when I first saw the card, I was like, wow, this card seems really good. Now, of course, I don't think it's as hyped as it should be. I think it definitely has its downsides, but overall, I am really excited to play with it, just because I've been testing with it for the past couple days, and it's generated some pretty positive results for me. So, with that said, let's take a look at the deck list and the build and see what the deck does best. So first of all, let's talk about the most important part of the deck. It's the fact that you can cast Ancestral Vision for 0 mana. The turn you play As Foretold or any turn after that. So As Foretold is a really good card with the 0 mana, or suspend cards. The reason being is that, yes, although you can't, cast Snapcaster Mage and target Ancestral Vision because it doesn't have a mana cost, it does have a converted mana cost of 0, which will then let you cast it off of As Foretold. So that's just really awesome synergy. Ancestral Vision is a strong card in general, but the fact that now that its downside, the fact that if you draw it late, you have to wait 4 turns, you can negate that downside by just drawing 3 cards instantly. So that's what makes As Foretold so powerful, regardless of the fact that you can cast any spell with it. And so another card that we're using is Restore Balance. You might think that this card is kind of anti-synergistic with as a control deck, but the fact that you can just wrath your opponent for technically 3 or 0 mana is just really strong. And this leads us to our next point of Teleria West. And this is a card you might have seen in the old Amulet Bloom decks, just, to fetch up, your pacts and things like that, or even like lands. We're bringing that package into our deck. We're running 3 Teleria West. Not only is it a blue land that you can just play, I mean, yeah, it comes into play tapped, but it's not the worst thing in the world. You can transmute it for 3 to, first of all, fetch up, any one of your 4 Ancestral Vision, and in combination with As Foretold, you can cast those instantly. You can fetch up your 1 of Restore Balance if you need a Wrath in a pinch, because sometimes you don't always draw the Supreme Verdict. So having essentially like 7 Wraths in the deck is really awesome. And then, if you're just doing really well already and you're pretty ahead, you can fetch up a Colonnade as an extra beater. You can fetch up some Ghost Quarters to beat your Tron opponents or lock your opponents out of certain colors, and then 1 of Tectonic Edge as well. So there's a lot of utility that this Teleria West brings to the deck, and I really love it. Alright, so now we've talked about the whole As Foretold package, and now we're kind of just playing a basic blue-white control deck after that. We have Spell Snares, Mana Leaks, Negates, and Cryptic Commands as our counter package. As a blue-white deck, you really shouldn't leave home with at least, 7-8 counters in your deck. We have our 4 Path to Exiles, just a very, simple, quick, easy removal. We have Detention Sphere, really good card as well. We have 2 Snapcaster Mage just as some sort of late game value. We have Blessed Alliance for some main deck burn hate, as well as to kill some of the big butt creatures that can be difficult to deal with sometimes, especially if they have like effects on them like Hexproof or Protection, so Etch Champion, Bogle's Slippery Bogle, and then what's the other card? Reality Smasher as well. That's a card you don't want to target with Path to Exile, but you would be very happy making them sacrifice it. And then that's and then we have 3 Supreme Verdict, very powerful card, and now we get to the win conditions of the deck. We have 1 Gideon of the Trials, and for those of you that watched the end of my last video, don't get too mad because Gideon is in here. Now it's not exactly a dedicated Gideon deck. Getting an Allied Zendikar is really, really expensive online right now. So we're just going to wait a little bit on that. And so then we have Gideon of the Trials. In general, he's a good card. Even if you don't play too many Gideons, his emblem is still really strong against combo decks. He's a quick beater, provides a clock when he needs to close out the game fast. And his +1 just neutralizes singular targets, even man lands. He just buys you time. And buying you time is really good when you have cards like As Foretold and all these draw 3s. So I really like Gideon. I'm impressed by him. Jace, Architect of Thought, very powerful card. He's a win condition. He's a card advantage engine. He stops go wide or aggro decks. Big fan of Jace. We have Gideon Jura, of course, just a really powerful top end. He has -2, which is very relevant to stem some bleeding. He has a +2. Which forces opponents to attack into him, sometimes into unfavorable, board positions. You can rev up a Colonnade or things like that. And then, of course, in combination, you can -2 the next turn. And, of course, he becomes a 6/6 beater to close out the game very quickly. What's nice, or not nice, what's important to remember about Gideon Jura, for those of you playing with him, he doesn't get indestructible like many of his Gideon counterparts. So when you 0 him, yeah, he dies to Path, but your opponent could still have Terminate, and that could get you. So be careful. Unfortunately I've done that a couple times. And then Elspeth Sun Champion. This card, hopefully once you play her, you're winning. The game's over, because she just takes over the game completely. So I love Elspeth. I love her. She's my go-to finisher for any blue-white control deck right now. So that's the main deck. The list is really, really smooth in my opinion. It's not too clunky. I've really enjoyed the power level of it in terms of the other decks in the format. It has a lot of ways to win. So I love it. As Foretold is great. You'll see how great it is. Hopefully, as long as I don't punt. But yeah. Now let's talk about the sideboard. The sideboard is, it's something I worked up myself. Now, I haven't necessarily tuned it 100%. The first thing I knew is that I wanted 4 main deck graveyard hate cards. Why? Because decks like Dredge and Living End are 2 of these decks' worst matchups ever. They're going to be very hard to win without your sideboard cards. So this is why I'm running, this package over here. We have Stony Silence. You can't leave home without 2 Stony Silences. Celestial Purge is really important because, black-red permanents like Bitter Blossom, Blood Moon, Liliana, Chandra's, those are all very difficult to handle. So this Celestial Purge really shores that up. We have another Blessed Alliance versus Burn is also not the easiest matchup sometimes. So having, extra burn hate, extra sacrifice effects, paired with 2 more timely reinforcements, really swings the burn matchup in our favor towards game 2 and 3. We have Ruin Halo just because this card is so strong, honestly, especially against combo, which can be one of our weaker matchups. Ruin Halo, I've played it so many times, naming Thought-Knot here, naming Grape Shot, naming Lightning Storm. It really shuts down a lot of these combo decks that rely on one card to win the game, and very rarely do they have cards that can deal with an enchantment. Sometimes they have Echoing Truth and things like that, but it's not a card they expect game 2 most of the time, or not necessarily a card they can even play around. So I really like that one of Ruin Halo. We have some counter magic here. One Dispel to negate. This handles just a wide array of decks, combo decks, any decks with instants, burn, even Coco, Collected Company, core decks, stuff like that. And then we have a 1 of Vendilion Click, just as provide a clock against combo decks and disrupt them at the same time. It also helps against control decks, where you can flash it in, force them to answer it, or disrupt them, and then you can try to resolve a threat the following on your following turn. So yeah, that's the deck list. Like I said, the sideboard isn't 100% tuned, but I'm pretty happy with where it is right now. One last note I want to mention, I don't have my mouse with me right now, so I do apologize if you hear some incessant clicking noises. I'm going to be using my laptop's mouse pad here, so I do apologize for that, but hopefully it won't be too annoying for you guys. Alright, so thanks for watching. I'm very excited to run this this build. I think As Foretold really needs to get the name out there, basically. I think it's a solid card, solid deck, and there's a lot of ways to play it. I don't have Spreading Season here, but there are builds that do have Spreading Season, so if you are worried about the Eldrazi matchup, the Tron matchup, stuff like that, definitely, you can squeeze in 2 or 3 Spreading Season here. I'm just going to say, you know what, screw you, Tron, hopefully we can dodge it. But in the future, maybe I would look into some Spreading Seeds. Alright, so thanks for watching, guys, and stay tuned for the first round in a Modern Competitive League. See you soon. Alright, what is up, guys? Welcome to the first match in this Modern Competitive League. We won the die roll. Like I said, I apologize for my mouse. I don't have the external mouse right now, so if you hear some clicking, I really do apologize about that. But yes, we'd like to play first. Let's take a look at our opener. Yeah, I'd say that's a keep. We have As Foretold, we have Ancestral Vision, and we have Detention Sphere. Now, this does make the decision of, do we go Ancestral Vision turn 1? And I think we do. But I'll keep this hand. Opponent goes down to 6, keeps that hand. We'll go ahead and run out Seachrome Coast. A card I didn't talk about in the deck tech, but it actually really helps the turn 1 lack of life loss. Alright, let's see what our opponent can do to us here. Is this the burn matchup right off the bat? Search for Tomorrow. Ooh, Scape Shift. Okay, this one's not an easy one. We need to really draw our counter magic here. Let's go ahead and play our Colonnade and pass. We have Spell Snare, which is a great draw in the face of their turn 2 ramp, because outside of that, it's a pretty bad card. So if we draw it late in the game, it's really poor. Of course, they're going to jam it, and we will, of course, counter it, just because it's going to be a very hard card, a very dead card late in the game. Alright, there's Mana Leak. Mana Leak is interesting. Do we keep up the Mana Leak, or do we jam the As Foretold? I think we run out As Foretold, because they'll have 4 mana next turn, but 4 mana isn't like one of their critical mana turns. So we'll go ahead and run it out, get this started. And we will have a Essential Vision coming in 2 turns, and hopefully Mana Leak will help bridge the gap next turn. And of course, hopefully they don't have something like Blood Moon. Doesn't seem to make sense, right? I mean, Farseek, yeah, there's no chance there's going to be Blood Moon here. Just getting a basic mountain. Wood Elves. Interesting. I didn't know they played Wood Elves. Alright, so they have the natural Valakut, so so this is gonna make things a little more difficult. 1, 2. They only have 3 mountains, but it will mean we have to try to find one of our Ghost Quarters or Tectonic Edges really to deal with that. All right. Of course, if they just hit us for 1 here, I mean that's great. All right, what do you got for us? Scourge Tribe Elder, which plays around Mana Leak, so we can't do anything about that. Let's see, this is a 4th mountain that I'm gonna let that resolve. 1, 2, 4th mountain, 5th mountain. Okay, at least we get our Ancestral Vision here. Maybe we can draw some more counter magic. We don't draw more counter magic, but we do draw an Ancestral Vision, and we have the Ghost Quarter. So we're actually in a really good position here. The question is, how do we want to approach these next few turns? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 is a critical turn for mana for like Scape Shift, and 1, 2, 3, or 7 mana, excuse me. And then Mana Leak will be pretty dead. So here we can start out with, we'll start out with Serum Visions. As Foretold, not quite what, so we don't really want either of these right now. We do want to find like a hard counter, like Cryptic Command, exactly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we only have to discard one card, and I think we'll be fine just discarding the Seachrome Coast. All right, so now we have kind of protection against both of the ways that they may want to kill us, and that's either through Scape Shift or just playing a bunch of lands. All right, so they're just passing. So I'm inclined to just say okay here. Getting beat down for 2 is not that bad. Another Cryptic Command is great. The question is, do we want to? I think we want a Ghost Quarter on their. But we can do it. We can do it when they decide to do something. Whoops! I apologize about this. Go away. So here we can play a. We can play a Plains, so we can go Mana Leak and Cryptic. I don't think we're... Oh, actually, we can Mana Leak right here. So let's go ahead and run out this As Foretold off of our other As Foretold. And next turn, we can go Mana Leak plus Cryptic plus Ghost Quarter. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sure. Oh, actually, maybe we should have done it on draw step, because now they can sack the Tribe Elder. Let's go ahead and do it right now then. Yeah, so this saves us 1 damage down the road. We could have saved ourselves a bit of damage. That's fine. It's not the end of the world. We just take 3. But doing this in combat kind of means they don't get any extra mana. I think again it would have been the same in draw step, so it could be worse. All right, we go down to 11. My hope is that they have like a bunch of dead like Anger of the Gods bolts in hand is my guess. Sure. I don't want to path the Wood Elves right now, because path is kind of an answer to We'll cast this with the first As Foretold, just to free up some mana. We're kind of looking for a win condition right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I don't feel so comfortable running out the Colonnade just yet to start beating down, just because we only have 1 Cryptic up. But during their turn, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That means they could cast 2 Scape Shifts, which I don't. I do want to insulate myself from that possibility. So we'll just take 1 here, and keep playing this game here as we tick up our As Foretold. Cool, a land. Alright. I'll probably path it right now. Or when they attack. Alright, they played another Cinderglade. Okay. Prime time. Yeah, we don't want to let that resolve, so using As Foretold, we're going to counter a spell and draw a card. Alright, that's another land. Alright, here we'll save our... yeah, here I'm actually okay revving up Colonnade. Because we have Mana Leak back up with our second As Foretold. We'll just eat it right here. And if they want to bolt it, that's fine. That's one less bolt going at our face. Escape shift. We'll go ahead and cast with 2 counters, as foretold. Alright, so things played out pretty well here. And now we're gonna have to try to start beating down with Colonnade. And try to close out the game as fast as we can. Basically, we only have one more Cryptic left, so we're not that well insulated against some pretty good top decks here. However, if our opponent is just passing, we're in a really good position now. And as you saw, As Foretold really did some work there in allowing us to like double spell. Alright, we'll play another Coast and pass. So our opponent might be also jamming up here for a double spell turn. We would like to draw some action though. Flooded Strand is not the action we were looking for. Alright, we can't rev up 2 Colonnades yet. Yeah, we're off. We're a bit off from that, so. Okay, I mean, we're doing what we can here. If our opponent has 2 really good spells, I imagine this game is not. Bolt face, sure. I'm not going to fight over that. Alright, and I'm not cracking this because that leaves us dead to double bolt. Teleria West, ooh, that's spicy. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We have the same amount of lands and we have more cards. So the restore balance is not going to do much here. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright, we can go ahead and do this right now before we attack, just to increase our options. We'll go ahead and pick up an Ancestral Vision here. We'll cast it off the one with 6. We'll just draw 3 cards here. Snapcaster Mage is very interesting. Yeah, we'll go ahead and see the question. All right, before we rush into any decision here, if we rev up Colonnade and attack, we'll only have Cryptic up and Mana Leak up for next turn. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So if they have another land, they can fight. They can do another double scape shift turn. Whereas here, actually, here's what we can do. Can cast Elspeth, make 3 tokens, and we have them dead next turn. And this way we can keep up double Cryptic. Because we can go Cryptic, Anger of the Gods. Should we have seen that one coming? Is this worth Crypticing? Yeah, let's go. Go counter target spell, draw a card. 4, 5, 6. Here we'll just. Alright, we can just Mana Leak that. Just straight up cast it. Alright, so we beat Valakut game 1. So that's a very difficult game to beat game 1. Definitely bringing in our negates. Vendilion Clique is also going to be very strong here. And Ruin Halo, naming Valakut is awesome. So the question is, do we bring in Dispel? Because I know they have Bolt, but sometimes they have Summoner's Pact is the card, I think. And the Trap card that lets them get stuff. So I'm going to cut D-Sphere. D-Sphere is pretty poor here. Restore Balance is actually pretty strong. All of our counters are pretty strong. Blessed Alliance is very lackluster here. Gaining 4 is not the best. We can cut 1 Verdict. And maybe cut 2 Verdicts. added Dispel in here because I think Path is going to be the better removal card for things like Obstinate Baloth or Primeval Titan. But in general, we have a pretty good setup here. And let's see if we can ride the next game to victory. As you saw, As Foretold really showing his strength, allowing us to have these double spell, triple spell turns on our opponent's turn. So, this hand, not amazing, but we'll keep it. We'll have turn 1 Ancestral. Opponent going down to 5, unfortunately. Going down to 4, unfortunately. But we're control decks, so in general, you know, we can't punish them too hard. Alright. There's a tap land. Let's go ahead and play an island. We don't have to deal ourselves any damage. We'll suspend Ancestral Vision. See if our opponent has the turn 2 ramp. Alright, search for tomorrow. Alright, so here let's go ahead and Seer Visions. Mana Leak is not bad at all. Do we want Teleria West? No. I don't know if I want Gideon right now. I mean, although it will present a clock, so I'll keep it on top. And this Mana Leak might be really good if they don't have a third land here. They still have a third land. Okay. We'll go ahead and play our Hallowed Fountain. Tapped. Okay, so they get to resolve their Search for Tomorrow. Sure. Let's see if they can... They're fighting their way pretty well out of like a 4... No. We're not going to let that happen. No, thank you. We're kind of happy to see Molten Rains, though, right? I mean, it's a card that's not it's not a card that progresses their game plan particularly well. Let's go ahead and... Oops, did I not pay enough blue mana there? Whoops. Okay, Jace. Now, do we want to tick up and start just going for the win here? Or do we want to tick down and start getting some card advantage? Let's go ahead and tick up. And let's see what our opponent can do here. Because next turn we'll go Gideon. Sure. And they're not playing lands here. So that's really good for us. Alright, never mind. 1, 2, just 3 mountains though. And here we get Ancestral Vision. So that's great. Oh boy. Pooh, that's a loaded draw. We can just play Gideon, I think. Let's get another basic island. I don't imagine they have Blood Moon or anything. But we do want to kill the Obstinate Baloth eventually. And so now they'll have to attack Gideon. It'll only deal 3, and then we can -2 to kill it. 1, 2, 3. Now we are putting down shields for a turn. Crumble to Dust. Interesting. So that's our only Hallowed Fountain in the deck left. We already have both of them out. So like I said, it doesn't hurt us too much, and we're happy to see these kind of clunky sideboard cards because it means they're not progressing their own game plan. Yep. And here we'll go ahead and destroy. We'll tick up, because I think Jace is going to be a pretty good way to win. We'll start with Serum Visions, and then we can maybe keep up a bunch of stuff. Ancestral Vision is awesome. We'll put the Coast on the bottom, Leak on top. We'll play the Island, that way we can actually go... Whoops. We can actually Spell Snare and click in 1 turn. So we'll go ahead and click here. Target our opponent, see what they're working with. Summoner Pack, Prime Time. With a Summoner's Pack, they could get another Obstinate Baloth. I'm actually going to say no to both of these. Just because there's no way they can play Prime Time this turn. And then next turn we're drawing Mana Leak. So I don't want to make them. I don't want to draw them into a land by accident. You know. All right. So if they go Primeval type Summoner's Pact into like the 2-mana dork, you could get a Wood Elves though. That might be a good way to play around. They're just getting the Obstinate Baloth, which is fine. Obstinate Baloth means they're going to top deck. They're going to try to top deck land, and we're drawing Mana Leak. So I'm very happy about that. Let's go ahead and tick up here. Tick up here. Here we can play As Foretold. We can play that targeting ourselves. Draw a bunch of cards, and we'll attack. Oh, we'll just hold back. All right, here they have to pay for the pact, which I did forget about, but you know, Moto does remind our opponent, thankfully. Let's take this stop out of here. So they drew another mountain. So here they're going to try to attack. All right, they can't attack Jace, of course, because we ticked up Gideon. They're trying very hard, but it's not gonna work. All right, so that gets ticked down. We could Path to Exile it, right? We don't want to block here. Do we Path to Exile? Because then we have Mana Leak. Yeah, let's go ahead and just Path it. Because if Primetime is resolving, you know, at that point, we're pretty screwed as it is. All right. Rune Halo. Wow, that's a great draw. We'll go ahead and... So for us, we'll go ahead and get... nothing great from our deck. Oh, and our opponent just concedes. Of course, because we get a Prime Time from our opponent's deck, or whatever is on our opponent's deck. We had Rune Halo to insulate against Valakut, and we had Mana Leak to stop Prime Time coming down. So yeah, that was awesome. Thanks for tuning in, and stay tuned for the next round. See you soon.